What's good? We're back in this thing. Today we're gonna be going over this paper clone, like rip, like scratch effect that Lonewolf did in the Boldy James Surf and Turf music video featuring Vince Staples. I think it was a pretty cool effect, and I definitely want to cover a lot of effects that are done in that music video. So stay tuned for those. If you have a specific timestamp to one of the effects done in that music video, leave it in the comments below, and we'll try to cover it. There's like 3 off the top of my head that I still want to cover that I think are really cool. Shout out to Weedy TV for giving the suggestion. I do read every suggestion left in the comments below. So if you have a music video or something that you want to see, leave it below and include a timestamp and we might get to it. I appreciate everyone giving me suggestions. It really does help making tutorials a lot easier. If you're new here, what I do is a lot of music video tutorials, vlog stuff, anything to do with the visually creative side of the hip hop scene, I basically cover. So if you're interested in any of that, definitely subscribe. If you haven't already, like and comment, because it really does help push my content to other people that want to see this, like music video directors, editors, just people that are looking for content in this style. So if you could do that, it would be greatly appreciated. Let's try to hit 500 likes and 100 comments on this video. You guys have been absolutely killing it recently, so that would be greatly appreciated. If you guys want to support the channel even more, you can go over to briandalmada.com and check out my texture pack. We're going to be using it a lot in this video. It basically helps you get that AWGE / Lone Wolf kind of style paper rip effects and transitions. There's so many uses to it, and it's a really high quality product. So not only are you supporting the channel, but you're getting a product in return. So I'll have a link to the website as well as a tutorial playlist full of effects that I've covered using my pack. There's obviously unlimited uses of it, but I do have a full tutorial with over like 12 effects now, I think. So that's pretty cool, and it's a great way to like get started and learn the effect from the start. Also, one last thing before we get into the video, I know I've talked a lot. My 10K subscriber editing contest is still going on. The Matt Ox 100 music video. There's a $750 prize pool, 4K 120 FPS footage. You still have until March 3rd to enter, so I'll have that card pop above and a link to that in the description. So if you're interested at all of editing kind of footage and entering the competition, definitely check that out. But yeah, guys, let's get into this tutorial. Let's break down this effect. I think it's really cool, and there's a lot of different uses you can do with this effect and make it your own. So first off, I already have some of the rips lined up. This isn't the effect right here, but it is an effect I guess you can do. Basically what I did is I found a clip where I wanted to create a clone of him using paper, and then I just went every 7 frames and marked it out, and that does help out a lot. So what I would recommend is find a clip where you want, go 7 frames, click M on your keyboard to make a mark, and then do that over and over again. That way you know where you took the screenshot at, and it just makes it easier in the long run. So just go ahead and do that. And I actually, as you saw before, actually had already 5 of them done, just so we don't waste a lot of time doing it, because it's basically the same thing over and over again as far as the Photoshop process. So I'm going to be doing the last frame on recording. So what you do is you just find the frame where you want to make the paper effect on, and then go to export frame here. You can click Control-Shift-E as well if you don't see that, or you can also edit down here, but export the frame or somewhere you can find it, click OK, then open up Photoshop. Then once you're in Photoshop, first thing I do, if you have a really dark clip and it's kind of hard to see the edges of your subject, a tip that I've learned over the time of just using all this Photoshop stuff is go to curves and just drag up everything so you can just see the outline better, and then unlock your layer. And that's just temporary, so it makes outlining the subject a little bit easier, and you can turn it off when you're done. So now you can see these lines a lot better. And then I just go through with the pen tool. You can use basically anything you want to crop. I like the pen tool because you can get like harsh edges, and then you can also do the curve. It doesn't have to be too perfect because it is a paper cutout anyways, so it kind of looks cool when it's some harsh edges, make some round ones too. I think just a mixture of everything is cool. And this is definitely the hardest part of the whole tutorial, is just turning your subject into a piece of paper. It's not that hard, it's just a little time consuming, but I think the overall look you get with it is so cool. And I've only really seen it in this music video, at least. I mean, I've seen similar things, but I think the way we found to make the effect look, you'll see in a second, looks really realistic as well as just unique. And then you can see I cut out here, and I'm just missing this part right here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut that area out. I just made selection and duplicated last time, and then I just made a selection and deleted there. And then you can go ahead and turn off the curves, and you can see that that looks pretty cool. You got the outline pretty well. I'm gonna go ahead and turn back on the background layer, and then I'm gonna be using my texture pack. I recommend my pack. It's very high quality. There's an option of 4K. There's over 210 assets, and I have plenty of tutorials, so there's definitely a lot of uses, and I spend a lot of time on it, and it supports the channel, so I'd appreciate it. I'm just gonna go ahead and find a texture that I like. I used a different paper texture each one just to kind of give it a little bit of variety. I think right here we're gonna go with paper or black scratch 10 here, drag that over our subject, and then I'm just gonna kind of rescale it so it fits over him. And then I'm gonna right click on the black scratch 10, and create a clipping mask. And what that's going to do is just go over him exactly where the cutout is. And we can turn that off for a second. I'm going to go to black scratch 10. I'm going to go to image adjustments, go to hue and saturation, turn on the saturation because there's a blue hue to it. It's kind of nice if you want to change the color to have it fit something, but for right now I like it completely black and white. And then I'm also going to go over here to the blending mode and turn it to screen. That way you can kind of see the person through it, so it kind of looks like it's printed on paper. And then one last thing I'm going to do is just go to image adjustments, curves on that layer, and then just bring down the blocks a little bit and then bring up the highlights. Just a little minor tweaks. You can see the smart filters, what they do. Just makes it look a little bit better in my opinion. And then this is where the main effect is taking place. I'm going to use my paper rips and folds pack. Then I'm going to go ahead and use long 2 here. And this is why I really like my pack. It's just like super versatile in the way you use it. I like come up with cool creative ways of using it each time I use it. Like I'm sure no one's used it this way so far. I basically just made the rip so it has the white like rip texture all around here, and then what I'm going to do is control click on the layer of the subject. That way it has these marching ants around the person. Then I'm going to go ahead and click back on long 9, click Control Shift I, or you could just select inverse, but what I'm going to do is just Control Shift I. It's a keybind for that, and then be sure to rasterize and then delete. And then you can see if I turn off that layer, it just has that paper rip all along the subject, and then I can turn back on the background layer. And then what I'm going to do is go around the subject and just erase. The eraser I'm going to be using is from the Mega Pack. I'll have a link below. It's free for Adobe users. Go into erasers and then the Kyle Natural Edge. And I found that any size between 3 and 5 looks pretty good. I'm going to use 4 here. And then before we do anything, actually before we start erasing, I'm going to merge the black scratch 10 and the layer of the subject and just click merge layer. And then if you start erasing, you can see that you have now a paper layer behind it because it's now exposing that layer of that white rip. And it looks really cool in my opinion. I think it has that like look like if you use like an X-Acto knife around the edges and then kind of just ripped at the same time. And then I'm just going to follow the outline. This is why I didn't do all of them on recording. It's just a little bit of a tedious process, but the look you get is definitely worth it. You can change the sizes of the eraser throughout, so it kind of has like a more inconsistent look, because that's kind of how it would be in real life. So I just go like sometimes even up to 6. You can spend as much time or as little time as you want on this. And then on the edges, I like doing like a little smaller and kind of have it like rip both ways, so it kind of looks like things like, so the paper is kind of ripped like that. I think it's just a cool look. There's definitely a bunch of different techniques you can do when erasing to give different looks. If you want, you can go something smaller like 3 and then go perpendicular to your to the line you're erasing on, and it kind of has that cool like frayed look. Maybe go a little bit bigger and do it, and then you can go back to parallel. And you can even do like these like mess ups where you have it there. Everything pretty much looks good. It's really hard for it to look bad in my opinion if you have these really small erasers. I think pretty much everything that I've done, I've never really like controlled Z'd too much. Like every once in a while if I have like something that looks really weird, but I think for the most part it just looks pretty good doing the basic. Again, just changing the eraser size. And I try to keep like pretty straight lines. I don't do curve too much, because if you're using like like scissors or something to get this harsh edge, or like something like scratching, you're not going to be able to really curve too much on paper just because of friction. Like basically every time I think about this, I just try to think about it as if I was doing it as a real effect practically. So that's how I thought about it. And then what I do is I go, after I'm done, I go through on size 3. It might be different for everyone depending, but then you can kind of get these little rough edges, and I just kind of almost do like a rough outline but of the thing, but like a little bit more in, just scratching back and forth. And I think it kind of has like a cool look. It just adds a little bit more texture to it, makes it seem a little bit more real. Just clicking a bunch, dragging a bunch of different lines, kind of just mimicking the outline of the subject. And then make sure I get down here too. And then I can just go through a little bit, just add scratches to the middle, has that texture. You can do as little as you want, or just go as crazy as you want. And then I even go down to size 2 after. You might not be able to see on the screen recording itself, but if you go like, I just go back and forth and it adds little dots everywhere. I'm just holding down right now, going back and forth. Adds a little bit more texture. It's nothing too noticeable, but I think it adds a little bit of the extra sauce. And then once you're done, I go ahead and click hide on the background layer, and then you have your cutout layer. And then you can go ahead, I always save each layer as a new Photoshop layer. So for example, this one will be the 6th one, just so if you ever want to go back and change it, it's easy. And then I also go ahead and save it as a PNG. Now we're going into Premiere, and you can make a bunch of different effects with these cutouts, so that's why I really like them. You can even use them multiple times in the video, I think. I don't think there's really an issue, so just go ahead and import all of them. And then if you named them, you can go to this button right here, and then go sort by name, and then shift click them all, and then just drag them in, and they will be in order. Actually, just going to import them one by one. And that's why the markers are really helpful, because it like auto stops you each time. It's 7 frames, and then the last one's not exactly 7 frames, but it's still cool. And then you can see even just that is a pretty cool effect right there. It's kind of just following him. I think another cool one is dragging everything to one marker ahead and then a frame back. So you can see that it like matches up and then goes here, and then as soon as it hits, goes to the next one and hits, and that's a pretty cool look as well. There's a bunch of different things you can do with this. I think that's pretty cool. And then if you wanted to do the clone thing that I was talking about, I think I like this a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and actually drag them back into line, so they're like the first one matches up with the first frame right there. And I'm gonna hold Alt on my keyboard and drag up. That's just gonna duplicate a layer. Then go to Effects Control and drag it over to the left a little bit, and then hold Alt again and then drag it over to the right. Try to keep them roughly the same size away. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and duplicate each of these 2 times, just how we did. And then this will save you a lot of time if you go to, so now just think that if the top layer is it's the one on the right? So what you do is you click Motion, click Control C, or you can right click and copy, and then you can Control V or just go and paste in each one. And then you can see that now you have the right one duplicated all on the right side. And then you can go ahead and do the same thing for the left one. So now this frame is going to be all the ones on the left. So you can see that this one right here is now is actually in the center, because that's where you're duplicated, but as soon as you click Control V, it'll move the position to the other one. So then go ahead and do that. And then if we turn back on this layer, you can see that now that we have a clone on each side, that's pretty cool. And you can even turn off the middle one if you wanted. So you just have a clone kind of replicating what he's doing. And then I think the coolest thing to this effect is actually go ahead and nesting the whole sequence, and then go ahead and drag this transform effect on. You can go ahead and add the shutter angle. I drag it up to 360, so it has a lot of blur when you zoom in and stuff, but you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. And then I'm going to go ahead and keyframe the position and the scale. And since it's on a tripod shot, it looks pretty cool. You don't have to do it on a tripod shot, but that's what I have. So I'm just going to zoom in and then maybe move the position down a little bit, so it kind of just zooms in on these. And you can see even that's pretty cool already. You can go ahead and highlight these keyframes, right click, go to Bezier, and then you can even screw around with the graph here. If you click this down arrow, you can see what that does. I actually like when it has these black bars here, because what you can go ahead and do to fix that is go ahead and drag transform. So like you can kind of like bend the rules a little bit and have it go out. And then if you drag a second thing of transform on there, and then you just go ahead and scale in, so it's like the furthest black bar part out, so like the furthest it's going to be away and like have black bars, so maybe like right here. And then I just make sure that it doesn't have black bars. And what that's going to do is it's going to have a lot of movement now, but it's never going to show the black bars. And I think that's pretty cool. It's a cool way of fixing that. And then if you want to go ahead and change anything, like turn off the middle guy or whatever, you can go to the nested sequence, go ahead and do that. You could keyframe the position of the guys. You can basically do whatever you want with this. I just wanted to show you guys basically how to do the cutouts, make them look realistic and have that cool paper effect. I thought it was a real cool effect that he did. I'll show the one that they actually did in the music video. I think it's pretty similar. I definitely put my own spin on it, but so here's the one done in the music video itself. I think it looks pretty cool. I like ours better personally, but it's all up to you. Whatever you want to make it look like, you can. He definitely has a lot less of the paper look, but more of the rip. Lonewolf obviously does everything analog and actually practical, so he's like actually ripping paper. I wanted to show how to do it the digital way and make it look really similar. You can tell that this is a tripod shot, just keyframed, kind of nested sequence, exactly how ours was. And maybe he has it change a little bit more frequently. But like I said, I really like how ours came out. If you guys make something like this, definitely tag me in it. I'm interested to see what you guys come up with. I just wanted to show the technique on how to get the paper effect and just kind of how I implemented it in to make it look something similar to that. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for the effect. If you made it all the way to the end, I really do appreciate you. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe. It does help push my channel and grow the community as a whole, in return getting you guys more tutorials, more videos, and just growing the community. If you're interested in a 10K subscriber editing contest, it's still going on until March 3rd, so you definitely still have time to get an edit in. I'm really excited to see everyone's submissions, everyone that showed snippets and stuff have been real cool so far, so definitely keep sharing those. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for the video. Peace.